African sunshine, soon you will warm your children's eyes. The African river water will dance and leap in your morning light. African sunshine, African river water, will you bless my life? Oh, will you bless my life? Oh, will you bless my life? Oh, will you bless my life? What can I know? What can I dream? What can I hope? What will the future bring? You shine through me, but will you see me through? African sky blue. African thunderstorm, your soldiers march through the air. The African rain will fall and wash away all my tears. African falling rain, African falling rain, will you bless my life? Oh, will you bless my life? Oh, will you bless my life? Oh, will you bless my life? The warrior's now a worker, and his war is underground. With cordite in the darkness, he milks the bleeding veins of gold. When the smoking rock face murmurs,
Welcome back to the third session of Africa Rising Day. My name is Buyelwa Qundu. Thank you to the Isibane Africa Choir for the great performance during the break. Remember to hashtag the Open Design Africa and use our official hashtags when you share on social media. That's hashtag ODA2020. That's hashtag Open Design Africa with a K. That's hashtag Small is Massive. Now, let's get inspired and learn from the following inspirators as they share their unique stories with us during this special third session that will focus on creatives and entrepreneurs who dedicated their youth development in Africa with regards to the future skills and well-being. First up, we have Dr. Rael Futerman from South Africa. Rael is the co-founder and chief learning officer of Cartedo, an educational technology organization focused on critical soft skills development through challenge-based experiential learning journeys. With a background in design, innovation, and education, he has held several academic positions at institutions around the world. Most recently, as founding program manager at the Hasso Platinum School of Design Thinking at the University of Cape Town, D School. He has developed a number of university and executive education programs aimed at future-proofing tomorrow's workforce and upskilling today. During today's session, he will share more about Carteto's COVID-19 Youth Innovation Challenge. Following him, we will have Sihle Tshabalala from South Africa. Sihle is the co-founder and CEO of Quirky 30, which is a nonprofit, and Quirky Innovations, which is a profit company, and he's an ex-offender. During his time in prison, he became a key member of Group of Hope program, a prisoner-initiated project that changed prison rehabilitation in South Africa, where he decided to spend his life helping others to avoid the mistakes that he made. Since leaving prison, he co-founded Brothers for All, taught himself how to code, and has become a key voice in his community and a game changer in changing high school dropouts, teenage moms, unemployed youth, ex-offenders, offenders of computer programming and coding entrepreneurship and digital marketing. He is widely featured on TV and radio and is the recipient of multiple recognition and awards from the likes of the Mail and Guardian 200 Young South Africans, 2016 TEDx Fellow, 2018 Africa's Social Innovation Leadership Award, the 2018 Rotary Vocational Award, and the 2018 Viva Tech Conference International Speaker. And following him, we will have Benedicta Apuamah from Nigeria. Her project, Fly Girl Period Kit, which about green menstruation, is a 2020 semi-finalist The Futures project. Benedicta has a background in pharmacy and is passionate about actualizing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 3, 4, and 5. She considers herself a public health enthusiast. Benedicta has served as a One champion in 2017 and 2018 with a One campaign in Nigeria. She's the co-founder of Girls for Development Goals Foundation, where she enlightens girls on sexual reproductive health, utilizing the SDG templates. Her projects include A Love Letter to Myself and Advocacy Against the Teenage Pregnancy, amongst others. Her ongoing project is tagged the Bloody Cup campaign, in which she is partnering with Organi Cup in Denmark to carry out the survey, the usage and acceptance of menstrual cups amongst women and girls in Nigeria. Before we hand over to Rael, please remember to post any questions you may have to our speakers in the chat box, and we will get to them. Luckily for me, I also have Dr. Rael right next to me today. Please take it away.
Thank you very much. All right. Just waiting for the presentation to pop up. Nothing. I can see myself looking confused.
I think, there we go. Just getting the technology in order.
Fantastic. All right, thank you very much. I'm going to take 15 minutes and just speak about a program and a challenge that we worked on recently as Cartedo, which was really focusing on acknowledging and empowering youth as agents of change. And the focus here was really around COVID. When COVID hit South Africa, when COVID hit Africa, we really wanted to focus on looking at ways in which we could not just tell youth or give youth information, but really empower youth to become producers of change as well, not just consumers of knowledge and information. So today's discussion, what I'm just going to be talking about a little bit is the world that we live in, who we are as Cartedo and what we do. And then specifically, I'll give you a case study around the COVID-19 Youth Innovation Challenge, which we did in partnership with UNICEF and the foundation partner. So the world that we live in today is often referred to as this VUCA world, where we face constantly with volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And in the past, this has really been around technology disruption. But I think increasingly what we're seeing as well with the pandemic of COVID-19, with global warming, increasingly organizations and individuals are having to navigate this. And so really what we're focusing on is developing the skill sets and the mindsets that are required by people to navigate volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and then ambiguity. And this is really around vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. And these are the mindsets, these are the skill sets, I think, that we need in order to actually not just cope in this world that we're faced with, but actually thrive. And so really the skills that we focus on predominantly are around complex problem solving, critical thinking, and creativity. And these are also the World Economic Forum's top 3 skills that they've found. And the way that we do that is through working with organizations to create online experiential learning journeys. And these are really challenge-based approaches to equipping people with the skills and the knowledge and the mindsets that are needed to work through some of the challenges that we face today. So really our experiential learning journey, it's multimodal learning. We're looking at not just delivering content to individuals, but looking at how people learn, whether it's written, whether it's visual, verbal, kinesthetic learning, learning through doing. We embrace Education 3.0, which is technology-driven. We acknowledge also that learning can take place anywhere. It doesn't have to happen in a classroom. And I think increasingly learning happens in the world. But how do we provide frameworks and support for people to learn in the world? And then also blending sort of pedagogy with heutagogy, which is really looking at self-directed learning. So how do we empower people to manage their own learning? I think there's that shift from sort of traditional schooling where you go into a classroom and you get told what to learn, through to adult learning where learning is really problem focused. I have this challenge, what do I need to learn in order to solve it? And then really blending that to really empower people with the access to information, but then the framework to solve challenges. And so we embrace the design thinking process really as this learning process. And I think as people move through these challenges, we teach them and they learn how to identify problems, identify challenges, create solutions, look at challenges through different lenses. So empathy is a critical element of what we do as well. And as people go through different cycles of learning, they learn in different ways and they begin to apply their knowledge in different ways to solve different challenges. And really what we're looking at as well, because we're very much a digital first organization, although a lot of interaction happens in the real world, we embrace these features of digital learning in the digital world, which really is around predictability. So wherever I am, I'm on the same platform, whether I log in from a friend's computer or my mother's cell phone or what have you, I'm seeing the same interface. We can embrace AI and machine learning to better understand our learners and to better understand people who engage with the organization, to put the right kind of information in front of them at the right time. So certain people obviously learn at different paces. They might require different content. And through understanding how people engage with challenges, we can put certain content in front of them. And then really a key focus as well is to, I think, flip the sort of youth as role as often knowledge consumers in education, but to really create knowledge producers. And through design thinking, really one can really do that as well, where one's putting new things out into the world that solves these complex challenges. And then obviously availability and really creating problem solvers. And so these are the benefits of digital learning. I'll touch on a few of the negative aspects as well. So although accessibility is a benefit, that also based on context and availability of data and what have you, and immediacy and these things. But I'll speak to these a little bit more. So this is who we are. We are Cartedo. We're a challenge-based experiential learning platform for future readiness. And we partner with organizations to design challenges that will equip the people that they serve in solving said challenges, while also informing the organizations that we partner with around who it is that they're actually trying to help. So for example, UNICEF that we work with, how can we provide insights to them around the youth that they're serving to better cater to those needs. And so how it works, we go through a lot of process around self-discovery. So individuals who engage with the platform, there's a lot of personal reflection. It's understanding who we are as individuals. So any challenge starts with that, uncovering who we are before we try and go into a space and understand it. We focus on design thinking, as I said, and then the data analytics side. And so today, really what I want to spend the bulk of the talk on is less about us and more specifically around one of the challenges that we've run, which was the COVID-19 Youth Innovation Challenge. And this was a UNICEF Innovation Challenge aimed to support youth agency during the COVID-19 pandemic. And that was specifically through critical soft skills development and identifying high potential individuals whose ideas could be supported and then developed further. And then also linking participants with future learning opportunities and employment opportunities. So the core goals of this challenge was really around empowering African youth as knowledge producers to provide access to credible information, because we noticed through a lot of our early workshops that there was a lot of misinformation out there. So partnering with big organizations to actually scale their information sharing and also peer-to-peer sharing of information, to drive awareness around COVID-19, to develop, as we said, critical soft skills and future readiness of African youth, and then to enhance employability by creating skills profiles online. So some key statistics around the challenge: it lasted over 7 weeks online. We ran it in 5 languages across the continent and then around the world, in fact. So we ran it in English, Kiswahili, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. And in fact, we had participants, although we targeted Africa, we had participants from about 166 countries and over 170,000 unique visitors to the site and to the platform during that time. About over 80,000, almost 90,000 youth around the world engaged in the challenge. There were about almost 60,000 ideas that emerged, and almost 10,000 solutions were created. And this is incredible to see how one can take design thinking and actually apply it into the space and the scale that one can actually reach. And so the way that the challenge flowed, we embrace this idea of care, dare, do. So care is really about empathy. It's about understanding oneself, understanding the people that we work with, and then dare to create new ideas and be innovative. And then really about doing as well, because we want to see impact. And so people move through the challenge through this way. So this is the landing page around the challenge. And really what we're seeing here is the Cartedo platform. Essentially, we've got the challenge, we've got a bit about the challenge, sponsors and what have you. And then at the base of the challenge there, we can see we can learn more. We can provide access to individuals to learn more about the space that they're going to be going in. We can see as people are solving the challenge that gets populated on the landing page. And so at any point one can log in and see what sort of solutions are emerging. And then on the platform itself, we've got the framework that's informed by design thinking, and it's informed by various learning theories and methodologies. And so we provide a framework for people to identify and then solve challenges. And some of the core focus areas that we found and that we identified for this challenge were around job loss, homebound income generation, access to reliable information, education on COVID-19, education in general, sanitation and hygiene, loneliness and depression, and mental health, mask availability and disposal, and stalled learning. And we uncovered this through various design thinking workshops with country officers around Africa, UNICEF country officers, and youth as well. And these were the top main focus areas that emerged. And so what we did was we developed several personas that sort of framed each of these challenges. Individuals then went through the framework and actually looked at solving one of these challenges for individuals. So they contextualized it in their own space. And we saw some incredible ideas emerge from, basic sort of frugal innovation, which was a mask, which then had sort of plastic strapped above so you prevent your eyes as well for coughing. So it's sort of combining, shields. And these were 14-year-old kids, I think, a young man in Ethiopia. In sanitation as well, we saw individuals coming up with these sort of, body sanitation suits. We saw apps around learning and all sorts of incredible information. We saw a lot of teachers actually contributing as well to the challenge, where, for example, this gentleman submitted a solution where he would walk around. It was a very small space, small community that he engaged with the school. And what he did was he dropped off learning materials with individuals at home and then would walk around in the day to actually just check on them. So the sort of distributed classroom model, which was very interesting to see. So again, almost 10,000 of these ideas and prototypes came through. And then from that, what we could do is we could identify groups of individuals, so high potential individuals who we could direct directly to, for example, incubation labs to have their ideas worked on further, through to sort of medium potential. And again, we're not saying that someone's low potential, that's where they sit. We're saying based on the potential to actually bring an idea out, what kind of learning can we put in front of you? So, for example, people who may be on the low end of the spectrum there, we gave them more courses on creativity, on building self-confidence, and really what we saw here is this locus of control, where the more someone felt that they could actually solve the challenge themselves, the more likely they were to do it. Whereas some individuals would say, government must provide this, or someone else must provide this, and they were less likely to actually to come up with solutions. So it was really interesting to understand the sort of the learning journey of individuals and youth around the continent. And then some of the solutions that came out that went through to actual incubation, which are being built and developed at the moment. So in Burundi, for example, we had a young 16-year-old girl who created an online platform to support the continuation of learning. We had various online courses for mask making and what have you. Malawi, a lot of youth supported then through the Sigle Foundation and innovation labs there, looking at, for example, promote touch-free disinfection in public spaces. And there's a long list of these solutions that emerged. In Nigeria, very interesting as well, for example, solar-powered water supply and hand washing. And then in Tanzania, for example, we had people in their 20s looking at developing digital marketplaces that could support people actually through moving from traditionally selling goods in a marketplace to now saying, how do we take these goods and turn them into a different product? So, for example, instead of selling the goods to bake a cake, how do we bake a cake and sell that online through an online marketplace? And so very interesting solutions that were coming through. And I think one of the big motivators and I think learnings that we have as well is, Africa and South Africa has a very big youth population. And I think in order to solve challenges of the future, really what we need to do is just put the right sort of tools, the right access to information in front of people, and people will begin to solve challenges themselves. And I think we are naturally problem solvers, people in general. And I think by doing this, what we saw here was that we don't have to rely on these big, slow organizations often to develop, but just put the right tools, the right access to information and knowledge in front of people, and people will begin to solve challenges themselves. And we've got a few testimonials as well from some of the sort of the winners from these challenges whose ideas are now being incubated in various innovation labs around the continent. And I think some key learnings from us, we're a learning organization. So every challenge we run, we learn from the people that we serve, such as the youth. And I think was really interesting, we set out to train in soft skills, but in doing so, we saw people learning how to make videos. And this was, so we're seeing this technology literacies being learned sort of vicariously through training and soft skills. And there's a quote from one of the participants that we found very, very interesting as well, which was a young woman. She said that the new skill that she developed during the project was self-confidence. She said, being a learned woman in my community has not always been easy. And she said, there's often feels like there's a place for women in her community. But through the challenge and through the anonymized sort of profiles that people have, she said she wasn't looked at as who she was, but she was rather judged on the quality of ideas that she produced. And so all of our participants are anonymous when they're on the platform. And that actually, we were thought maybe there's negative aspects to this because people are anonymous. But actually what we found is because there's a lot of peer sharing of ideas, we don't look at who it is that's coming up with the idea. We're just looking at the idea. And that allowed a lot of people to just be a more sort of show up as their honest and genuine self in that space. And so, again, one of the issues that I touched on earlier, benefit about being online was connectivity, but some of the challenges as well. Being I think a design thinker, we see challenges as opportunities. And so a lot of the UNICEF country offices engaged with, for example, community outreach programs, and they actually took technology into spaces or brought youth together around technology, which enabled their participation in the challenge as well. So I think that lack of access and a lack of that distribution actually fostered a lot of new relationships being developed. And so that was incredible to see as well, youth solving some of the challenges through this. And that's where I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Futerman. That was absolutely incredible. I love the design thinking element. It's something I'm kind of actually familiar with. And so the ideas that actually come out and pull out of that are actually incredible. And I love that comment that you shared from one of the youth. That's absolutely incredible because, you do want your ideas and not yourself to be placed at the forefront. Yes. But thank you so much for that. Any questions, any comments, please pop them in to the question box. And up next, we have Sihle Tshabalala, who's also here with us at the beautiful V&A Waterfront here in Cape Town. Sihle and I actually go a little bit way back, so I'm very, very excited and happy to see him on the stage today. Please, Sihle, take it away.
It's already afternoon, so good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I'm not going to be focusing more on the presentation today because I'm no fan of doing any PowerPoint presentations, even though that I do have powerful points. The presentation that I've set up is just to give you guys some sort of an in-depth insight in terms of the kind of work that we are doing and the challenges that now we are faced with. But it's more of a personal journey. It's more of a personal experience that I've been through, lessons that I've learned from being, once a scholar and a criminal, a gang member, to a change maker. Now I'm also have an additional title now, which I'm also in the process of training to become a traditional healer. So that's number 5, some of my gifts that I've been blessed with in this earthly life. So just to give you some sort of a background in terms of what is it that I'm actually talking about today. My title is about Misfit Economies. And the reason why I named it Misfit, because I always believed that there is a lot that the business leaders can learn from drug lords, armed robbers, and gangsters. As I have started my own business when I was in prison, even though that I've never thought, that it was a business, but later realized that actually I had 4 prison officials who were on my payroll. For 4 years awaiting trial, I never ate prison food. I ate all the KFCs and the Nandos. I developed the entrepreneurial skills while being in prison, in a place where I never thought that I'll be, but yeah, these are some of the insights that I would love to share with you guys, part of the presentation. So let's get on with it. I was born and raised, in a township which is like 10 minutes away from here if you're a Schumacher, but if you're not, it's 20 minutes away, called Langa. I started school at the age of 4, finished high school at the age of 16, had nothing to do, no aspirations to go to university. So I studied in the old system where you were not eligible to have an ID at the age of 16. You had to wait up until you were 18 years old for you to acquire one. So 2 years faced with that reality of sitting, not doing anything in the township, that's when I started getting noticed. So I started doing business robberies and heist jobs. And when I was about to turn 19, that's when I got arrested and went to prison for 11 years and 3 months. So it's been 6 years now since I've been out of prison. And as I said earlier, my prison experience was one of the most and profound experiences, that contributed to the person that I am today. Because as I've said earlier, that I also discovered that I'm an entrepreneur by starting a business, even though that I was smuggling marijuana or dacha, but it was a business. I had everything figured out from production to supply chain, product and market, and the business was booming. It's one of the reasons why sometimes I always share with people that if you're looking for best entrepreneurs, go source them in prison, because there's only 3 qualities that you need to possess if you want to become a successful entrepreneur. 1, if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, you have to know how to hustle. And in prison, we have the best hustlers. 2, you must have the courage to take risks. And in prison, we have the best risk takers. 3, you must know how to network. And in prison, we have the best networkers. It's just that they choose the wrong product in life, which is crime. So everything changed for me when I got sentenced. And I was then transferred now to a maximum security prison, also based here in the Western Cape, called Worcester. The correctional institution is called Brandvlei. Now, when I arrived in Brandvlei, I realized that actually there's a section there called Afghanistan. It's a war zone. Now, South Africa, we have 224 prisons. So if you are a troublemaker in all these prisons, they send you to Brandvlei. It's kind of like a dumping site for all those rotten apples that will never get right. Now, because I left Posmo with a bad reputation, corrupting prison officials, being chased from one section to another, I was placed in that section. But then now I realized a couple of months later, being in that section, that, the reason why these people are regarded as outskirts, or troublemakers is because they possess such a very high level of IQ that any other human being can ever comprehend. And also, secondly, reason why they behave the way that they behave is because they have never been challenged against their own belief system. They have never been told differently about themselves. It's like if you nickname a child or a kid killer, one day that child would want to live up to that name. So no one has ever said anything good about themselves. How other people perceive them, they made that their absolute truth. So, so I've learned that in prison, you learn a different type of psychology that you can never find in any of the psychology books. You can go to the best universities in the world, whether it's Oxford, it's Cambridge, it's Harvard, it's Stanford, you'll never find it, because in prison, you are forced to deal and look at your skeletons. Because if I have a problem with you, there's no way that I can take your name and put it to the next transfer list to another prison. No way. It means that for the next 5 or 10 years that I'll be serving time here with you, I'll still be challenged by you. But the gift in prison is never about me trying to fix you or change you. It's about me changing myself. Now, let me bring this into a different perspective, giving you guys a simple analogy, very quickly. Let's assume that every morning before you go to your kitchen to make a cup of coffee, you start to your bathroom. If you stand in front of the mirror in your bathroom, who do you see there? You see yourself. If there is a boil or a pasty or a scratch somewhere in your face, where do you touch? Do you touch the mirror or you touch you? Meaning that the people or the person that you feel kind of like challenges you, pushes the button, reflects something within you. So don't fix the mirror, fix you. Now in prison, you are forced to think and make those conscious decisions, because one day you might be leaving some of those prison doors with some of your body parts not attached to you. So you are forced to think consciously in prison. Now, this is the kind of work that inspired the journey which I started in prison, because I started a school in prison teaching mathematics and English. Even though that I don't have a teaching qualification or a teaching degree. Now, what I love about prison is that you can be fake of all things. You know, you can test anything. You know, the space allows you to do it. So one day, a student of mine stood up and asked me a question that, Sihle, tell me, what is it that I can study now that will be relevant in 10 years when I'm released out of prison? And I couldn't give him an answer, but somehow he sparked curiosity in me. Unfortunately, I could not do anything about it in prison because I didn't have access to computers and internet. And also there were no libraries in a maximum security prison. But when I was released, coming back to a township of which I have been absent from for the past 11 years, and to realize that nothing much has changed. It's still the same as I have left 11 years ago. That's when his words came back to me. So I started doing research in terms of what kind of skills I can learn that I can be able now to pass on to my own community members. That's when I found out about coding. But then now I could not see myself going to spend 3 years at university trying to obtain a BSc computer science degree. So I took the easy way out, you know, using online free platforms and also YouTube videos. 6 weeks later, when I was able now to write few lines of code, and then when I viewed them in the browser, that's when my imagination was captured. So that gave birth now to the coding academy, which I'm currently running now, which is called the Quirky 30. Now, quirky, it's an English word which means unusual, because it's unusual that you will find a tech institution, you know, such an elite one in a township. 30 is because our work is aligned within the framework of the UN Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. So out of the 17 SDGs, we contribute to 8 SDGs in terms of the work that we do. And what we do on day-to-day basis, actually, we teach coding to underprivileged youth, you know, between the ages of 16 to 35. And the program is free. It runs for 1 year. It's 6 days a week. 4 days, it's 9 up until 5. Fridays, it's 9 up until 3. Saturdays, it's 9 up until 2. And then after graduating, we place them with the various digital agencies and also now the corporates that now we work with. Now, I want to share with you something very sentimental to me, you know, because this is one of the things that I've also discovered while being, you know, an entrepreneur and running the kind of work that I do currently, you know, which is about creativity and innovation. And I love, you know, what the last speaker spoke about, that COVID-19 presented us with a unique opportunity. You know, it presented us with an insight to look at how we do business for the future. And some of us are still lagging behind in terms of that, you know, and this for me was even evident when someone said to me, you know, speaking at the GTEx conference in Dubai in 2018, and said, Sihle, how are people responding to the kind of work that we are doing? Because I've been in Africa for 11 years, and I know that Africa is like 10, 15 years behind in terms of the digital revolution. And yes, it is like that, because our government, corporate South Africa, still spends money on, you know, rolling out programs which are IC related, or in the space of ICT, which is called end user computing and ICTL. Yes, we needed people 20 years ago that can do spreadsheets and word processing, not today. You know, today we need people that are able to think off their feet, people that are so innovative and creative. And this is one aspect that I think, you know, business leaders can learn most, you know, from the criminals. And the reason why I'm saying that is because now I want us now to play. I wanna see how you guys, you know, how creative are you guys? Let's play an imaginary game. You know, picture this: you just bought a house. You happy? You have a new home. Since I'm the only ex-con sitting in this couch, I come in and break into a house. What do? You will call the cops and then decide now to secure the house, putting on burglar bars. But what you don't know is that indirectly, you are sending me back to my drawing board to go and figure out how do I break into a house with burglar bars, meaning that I have task number 2. Once I have my task number 2 figured out, I come in and expose your weaknesses. Then guess what? You start putting motion sensors, beams, and alarm system. For me, that's task number 3. It's like every preventative system you put in place stimulates me to think innovatively, creatively, even more. Once I have my task number 3 figured out, I come in and expose your weaknesses. Then guess what? You decide to hire an arm response team. For me, that's task number 4, because I have to figure out how many times does those guys patrol that vicinity or area. And secondly, if an alarm system goes off, what is their response time? If they take 4 minutes to get to your house, it means I have 3 minutes. Now, this is high level of innovation and creativity that I'm talking about. And I always believed that this is one aspect that business leaders are always missing. It's like what is happening in the world today, that we are still losing trillions of dollars in cybercrime. Because they think that they can take someone out of university to build firewall for the hackers instead of hiring the damn hackers to build firewall for the same hackers. So, this is the kind of language that I always love to portray. This is the kind of language that I believe that this is needed in today's world, so that we can be able now to address the kind of challenges that we are faced with today. Otherwise, one of my greatest inspirators is Albert Einstein, who once said that we can never change today's problems with the same thinking and mindset that created them. Meaning that now, how we conduct a business should be different. Our systems needs to be different. Our framework needs to be different. How we talk and work needs to be different. Otherwise, if we are going to continue business as usual, it means that now we are still going to continue having the same experiences without any learning, without any impact. So we need to do things differently. And this is one aspect that inspired the kind of work that I'm doing, because I designed, an innovative solution to a community that needed it, So I kind of had a set crowd that needed to be wowed, and this is one of the things that makes me wake up every morning, because today I know that each day I'm presented with an opportunity to change someone's life. Some of these kids today are working for global digital agencies. Some of them, at the age of 17, have never set foot out of their own community, which is Langa, first time at the Waterfront. So you can imagine being overwhelmed with all mixed emotions, being in the CPD. This is the kind of leverage and experience that I want to give them. And to end off, when I was in prison, it was my birthday, and a friend of mine brought me a book. A book was published or authored by a Brazilian author called Paulo Coelho, and the book's name was called The Alchemist. Inside the book, there was a little note from an unknown author, which reads that now, if you are looking for a miracle in life and you can't find one, be that miracle for other people. I repeat, if you are looking for a miracle in life and you can't find one, be that miracle for other people. And since I've made a commitment in being a miracle for other people, because I've escaped death twice, and I've always believed that my life, have always been spared for something far greater. So prison was kind of like an opportunity for me to go and reflect on the life that I was living, make those, audacious decisions that what kind of life do I want to live moving forward, and be that miracle for other people.
Wow, Sihle. Every time I hear you speak, I'm inspired. I'm like, he's controversial, but it makes sense. And as we said in the beginning of the session, we're talking to innovators and entrepreneurs, and that's what these two gentlemen have showcased today. There's a place of inspiration that you can come from, whether it's from your own, backgrounds, or if it's something that you want to bring out of other people. And that's kind of what Dr. Futerman kind of showed us today, is that he can bring that out of people. And Sihle is showing us that he took it out of himself and he's trying to bring it out of people. And that's how the ecosystem is working. And I'm excited. Benedicta, if you're there, you're up next. Please take it away.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I feel cheated, really.
Hi.
Hello. I mean, why? Can you hear me?
I can't hear her. Can we get some sound? Can you hear me? You can just nod.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
I
you
can hear
me. Okay.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, she's unmuted. Her video's on.
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Okay, I think other people can hear you. I think it's just us. Please, Benedicta, hello. I can't hear you, but welcome, and thank you for joining us today. Please take it away.
Thank you, thank you. Like I said, I feel cheated. Like, I am the only speaker who is not in Cape Town right now. I feel offended. So please send me my ticket to Cape Town right away so I can forgive all of you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I've learned so much already. Dr. Futerman, I definitely should begin conversations with you after this. And Tshabalala, you make prison sound sexy. Like, I want to go to prison already. I need to be able to learn everything that you talked about. Thank you so much. I'm going to be sharing my screen. Okay, can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Oh, okay. Yes.
All
Everyone
right.
can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm the founder, Girls for Development Goals Foundation, and I'm here to talk to you about our latest project, which is the Fly Girl period kits. So did you know that the conventional sanitary pads contain a high percentage of plastic? 90% to be exact. The result is that the result is that they fill our landfills, our beaches, and then contribute to ocean pollution, which can go on for decades. It is also important to note that the products that are available today, they leak, they fail, they are uncomfortable with environmental issues often overlooked. But what a lot of people do not realize is that menstruation is one of the most natural and healthy parts of life. In fact, in many cultures, I don't know about South Africa, a girl's first period is celebrated. So, but menstrual taboos and period shaming have a massive impact on the products we use and how we dispose of them. But here's our solution: the Fly Girl Menstrual Kit. The Fly Girl Menstrual Kit presents an eco-friendly sanitary product that is secure, leak-proof, 100% effective, and reusable. Like a girl's favorite pair of jeans, our Fly Girl Kit is completely comfortable for all ages. It comes fitted for all kinds of wear, can be worn all day, anywhere and in any situation. Need I emphasize, you can actually swim with it. We are bridging the gap between health, comfort, and sustainability with a product that is in between solution from pads to tampons. Now, with an average of 17,000 pads being discarded in one girl's lifetime, our Fly Girl Kit will be saving the earth one girl at a time. The sanitary care market is a $42 billion market with a revenue of $605 million in 2020. The market is expected to grow annually by 1% and is actually one of the only markets that grows in recession. Why is that? That is because over 50% of the population is affected by menstruation. Okay, our Fly Girl Kit has been priced affordably, ranging from 80 cents to $1. That is for each product in the kit. But of course, we know that the more the product increases, it will have an impact on the prices. The price we actually reduce. And this price that we are offering is 17 to 25% cheaper than any other sanitary product available. We have been able to reach over 3,000 girls in our school campaigns. In fact, currently, our campaigns have spread across 6 states in Nigeria: Delta, Enugu, Lagos, Abuja, Kebbi, and Yola. And these states are actually representative of the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. We have engaged over 10 non-governmental organizations, and we're actually building our e-commerce website, and we anticipate over 200 orders in the first few months of launch. So, what stands us out from other products in the market? We are an all-in-one solution kit. Fail-proof, check. No plastics, check. Eco-friendly, check. All right, so in the first year of our launch, we are anticipating that we'll be able to get over $5,000 worth of orders. And in the third year, we're anticipating that would increase to $6,800. What's our ask? We're looking for partnerships. We want to be able to maximize and increase our scale of manufacturing. We're asking for funding. We're asking for campaign support. So here's our team. It's a combination of myself as co-founder. I have a background in pharmacy, which you already know, and I have 4 years of experience in community health projects. I am very passionate about educating young girls on sexual reproductive health and rights, and have been involved in over 6 social impact programs across Africa, South America, and Europe. Other team members have extensive background in business development and digital marketing. And in fact, it's important that I mention our advisory team, which is the LABET team. LABET is actually a venture initiative that works with startups, nurtures them and grows them to be able to get into the market, and just stand on their own. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So before I entertain questions or anything, I just want to share with you the reason behind why I started this. As a young girl growing up, I attended an all-girls boarding school somewhere in South Nigeria, Warri to be precise, in Delta State. And it was very common to have girls fight over period products. In fact, yes, in my boarding school, if you forget a pack of your period product on your bed, I bet you won't meet it when you come back. Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
It was that horrible. And because we were more used to the conventional period products, which contain 90% of plastics, the whole compound was littered. And being an all-girls boarding school, you could easily walk into a pad, a used pad on the floor. It was an eyesore, and I began thinking right from that tender age, what can I do to improve this? Eventually, when I graduated from School of Pharmacy, and actually my interest and passion in menstruation followed me to the university, so much that my undergraduate project was on menstruation, dysmenorrhea to be precise, which is painful menstruation. So when I finished, I began to think, how can I impact, my community? How can I ensure that this problem is actually taken care of? My team began to distribute sanitary pads to girls to keep them in school during that period. As at this time, I didn't even know the meaning of the acronym NGO. I was just learning on the job. I knew I wanted to impact the lives of people. I knew I wanted more than just being a pharmacist. And I don't know how it is in South Africa, but in Nigeria, being in the pharmacy profession is very lucrative. So I could actually just sit back, in my own pharmacy or work in a hospital and earn lots of money, and then things can go on. But after distributing the pads for 2 to 3 times, we began to think, and knowing that at that time we were not officially registered with the government, we didn't have access to funding, we began to think, if we continue taking up all of our savings to ensure that girls in our community have access to periods, what is going to happen when we run out of funding? What is going to happen when that friend or that family member does not give, to ensure that we buy the pads? Then we began researching, and that's how we came up with we found the reusable sanitary pad. So this we've been working on to perfect our prototype. We've been researching and working on it until recently we found out about the menstrual cup. So we thought, why not have a menstrual kit that would accommodate both the reusable pads and the menstrual cup. And mind you, the menstrual cup idea is still very new in Nigeria. In fact, thankfully, we got a partnership with Organic Cup from Denmark, and they've sent us over 200 of the menstrual cups for free to distribute to the girls. So currently, we have sent out these cups. We don't just want to give it out to girls for free. So, okay, have the cups, try it out. We want to be able to make impact, and that's why we're doing surveys. So we want to know, do you like this? How did you feel when you used it? Would you like to continue with this? So that we can be able to put data, statistics for people who are going to work on these subsequently to have, like a starting point, like a platform, for them to start. So that's actually where we are, and then that's how the Futures Project found us. Or we found the Futures Project. I don't know who found who now, but here we are. I can't hear anyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Okay. You can hear me now.
Yeah.
Benedicta. Oh, incredible. Oh, that's amazing. Well, I was saying you found each other. That's absolutely incredible. I don't know if there was any questions in the chat section. If we could please look at that. But what an incredible project, Benedicta, that you've started over there. I mean, menstrual cups aren't quite yet popular in South Africa. So I always love to hear about innovative ideas like this, and, to kind of, bring it here as well, spread it out, because we'd also love, love that on our side. If there's any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. And Benedicta, thank you so much for that incredible and innovative presentation. Like I said in the beginning, it's incredible when people mix their sources of inspiration and like design or technology, or whatever their fields of study may be, and collaborate those things together, because that's how we make change. So well done on this incredible project, and good luck with everything for the future. If there's any questions, please let us know. But if not, thank you so much for joining us today. We invite you to stick around and join us for a quick interview with the marketing executive of the V&A Waterfront, who is Tinyiko Mageza, before we watch the performance of the local Cape Town musicians, Didi and Jules. Tinyiko is going to share the creative stories behind two of the creative campaigns, which are 100 Beautiful Things and the Joy from Afrika campaign. Don't forget to hashtag all of our hashtags today. That's hashtag Open Day Africa with a K. That's hashtag ODA2020, and that's hashtag Small is Massive. Thank you so much for joining us today. Seems that we have questions. Yay. Let's ask away. Oh, the van, could you... Sorry, my eyesight's terrible. Could you... Oh, yes. Okay, we have a question that's saying, what should people search to find out more about your... Can you hear me, Benedicta?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, yes, please. The question is, what should people search to find you and to find out more?
Okay. I'll drop. I don't know if I can drop my email address on the.
Yes, I think also people just want the name of your brand again, please. Maybe they can find you on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter. That kind of. Yes, please.
So, girls, you can find more about it on Girls for Development Goals Foundation, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Our e-commerce website is still under development, so that's why when you Google, you may not be able to find everything there. So yes.
So the best to
we'll
go
launch
is
it.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Exactly. Yes. Girls for
Incredible.
Development. Yeah. Or you find me, Benedicta Apuamah.
Incredible. I hope I didn't say your surname wrong in the beginning. Please forgive me.
No,
if I
you did good, really. You did good.
Okay, fantastic. And I mean, the rest is also just, people are just saying how wonderful your presentation's been. Yes, and they just wanted more information. And as Benedicta said, the website is still under development. So please go to social media and find them over there. Otherwise, if there's no more questions, thank you so much. Benedicta has also shared her email address. It's it's her full name at gmail.com, if I'm not mistaken. My eyesight is terrible. But thank you again, Benedicta. It seems like those are all the questions and comments that we got. Thank you so much again for joining us, and everyone go check her out on Twitter, as Instagram and Facebook and all the other wonderful socials that you may find her on. Thank you so much again for joining us today. Hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Welcome back, everyone. Without further delay, I would like to welcome the Marketing Executive, Tinyiko Mageza, to our Open Design Africa Virtual Lounge. Tinyiko Mageza currently holds the role of marketing executive at the beautiful V&A Waterfront. With over 14 years experience in marketing, her career spans across multiple industries, including FMCG, financial services, tourism, and more recently, property development. Prior to joining the V&A Waterfront, Tinyiko held senior and executive level positions at various financial institutions. But a passion for marketing was born at the beginning of her career when she joined the South African breweries. Tinyiko, thank you for joining us. You describe yourself as a low-key activist for kindness because, as you say, kindness trumps everything. I agree with you. And you see yourself as a curious and purpose-driven marketer and storyteller. I believe that you were born in the township of Soweto, which is where you fell in love with the idea of escapism through words, pictures, and stories. This ultimately led to your career in marketing, which sparked this passion you have to find human connections and solve business problems by commercially impactful, purpose-led brands. Welcome, Tinyiko. It's lovely to have you here. I'm very honored.
Oh.
Can you tell us more about your creative and the purpose-driven journey behind the 100 Beautiful Things and the Joy for Africa campaign, and how these campaigns have also added significance and meaning to the V&A Waterfront?
Well, firstly, Ellen, the honor is mine. And thank you to Open Design Africa for agreeing to host this year's sessions here at the V&A. As I like to say, welcome to my office.
Welcome you.
Welcome
Beautiful
to my office.
I like it.
So I'm actually, it's a privilege to be able to talk about 100 Beautiful Things and Joy from Africa to the world. But I think in order for me to really do each of those initiatives justice, it's important to take cognizant of the fact that they were birthed out of a real belief in the V&A's business purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about myself as a purpose-driven marketer and someone who's passionate about working for businesses that are anchored in real, authentic purposes, because your purpose, your business purpose, doesn't tell the world what you do or how you do it. It tells the world why you exist, why the world needs an organization like yours. And the reality is you've got to, really ask some challenging questions like, why does the world need another mall? Does it need another property development company? Or does it need neighborhoods and spaces and places that are safe for people to pursue their dreams and to feel inspired? And it was off the back of us as the V&A Waterfront articulating our business purpose, which is the collective creation of an inspiring and inclusive waterfront neighborhood, that we conceptualized Joy from Africa to the world. And Joy from Africa to the world, it's like every festive season, as you know, every destination does like a Christmas showcase, right? And what do you get? You get tinsels, you get bells, you get reindeer, you get fake snow. And we challenged ourselves, like, actually, why is it that Christmas is represented from quite a Eurocentric lens when we have so much richness right here in the continent of Africa? Imagine a festive season showcase that is more representative of local, that is more representative of the culture and the people of the African continent, that is sustainable, because actually tinsel and fake snow is not environmentally sustainable.
Not good for the planet.
And how do we make our circle bigger? How do we bring designers, artists, tastemakers, crafters, creators along for the journey, as opposed to procuring our decorations from one supplier? We opened up the doors and we said, we want to showcase the best and most authentic African design. And it eventually culminated into this. And I'd like to show a video, if you'll allow me. Okay, let's see if this green button works.
Great.
There's a lot of beauty and joy that comes from Africa. And our time is now to show that and showcase that to the rest of the world.
Africa is the source of great spirituality, great creativity. So it's completely fitting that the waterfront is celebrating Africa in this manner.
the approach that we've taken this year is one of sustainability. We're using upcycling, recycling, repurposing.
Using local designers and local producers and not looking to Europe for inspiration.
This was something that was really close to our heart, ensuring that each and every piece has an element of community co-creation. And there's a whole team and ecosystem of African and South African artists who are helping us bring this vision to life.
We're making about 50 artworks, and we have like over 35 artists that are working on this, because some of the artworks are 2 artists working on the one because they are huge.
It's the first time we get the job like this one. It was big. We make more than 500 flowers.
It has created a lot of job for them. This is African design. It shows that it was done by an African, and I'm proud of that.
I like it, my job. Oh, I'm very, very happy.
I'm so proud. And all of us at our workshop, we are proud.
Wow, walking there and saying, this is my work. If you tell them this is handmade, like, wow.
The artists, actually, they're gonna just go feel proud of themselves to go with their families and to choose to say, this is my work.
Joy from Africa to the world.
Joy from Africa to the world.
Joy from Africa to the world. Joy from Africa to the world.
I love it. We're back. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, today's day is all about Africa is rising. And I think that's exactly what was also echoed. I mean, and in the work that you've done is that our greatness comes from within and not always only looking externally. So Tinyiko, now that I've got you here sitting in our virtual lounge and I have you for a few minutes, I've got a couple of questions for you. So the one thing I would like to know is Cape Town and the V&A Waterfront is one of the top 15 destinations in the world.
Right.
So that means you see millions of visitors. And what I'm wondering is, I mean, we are in Africa at the end of the day. We have huge problems. It's not all shiny. So how does the V&A maintain African values in their core business values with actually such a huge percentage of visitors being Westerners and like there's world-class facilities here? So how does that work?
Well, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is who's to say that world-class and creating a global experience while being completely anchored and representative of this continent and this people are mutually exclusive. If anything, the V&A is a symbol of what happens when you create a world-class experience while still being authentic, while still creating a platform for locals, for Africans, for South Africans to be their best self. If anything, it is a platform and a neighborhood that is intended to inspire greatness. You can be great by being your most authentic self. And I guess that's the perspective that we've always taken, is that while there might be a dark side to the dark continent, there is many, many incredible, deep stories of hope and of light. And earlier on, you asked me about 100 Beautiful Things, and 100 Beautiful Things was actually built off the premise that even in the darkest days, of which we're in right now with this COVID thing, there are so many inspiring stories of African people doing things that are creative, that are ingenious, that can actually solve world problems, not just African problems. So we wanted to use our platforms during what was the South African lockdown as an opportunity to share 100 stories of people in the design and arts and creative worlds that are doing incredible things, whether it is designing with compassion, whether it is designing with a sustainable lens, whether it is designing that's really futuristic and innovative, whether it's design that's representative and embodies, South African essence, or design that's simply beautiful. These are 100 projects, objects, people, makers, things that are all located right here. So, and and I mean, these are not just the best. I mean, we struggled actually to curate it down to 100 because there were just so many incredible projects that we could have showcased, and to do so in a beautiful way that is inspiring and can capture global attention is easy, because actually the attention is on this continent. It's here, the youngest continent in the world, where creatives and creative thinking is birthed in a way that is really truly authentically us.
And that only we can create, actually.
Absolutely, because it actually goes back generations. I often like to tell the story of how, you know, my grandmother and her mother and her and
the great
and the greats. My grandmother used to weave out of plastic, like plastic bags. She used to create all sorts, like doilies and rugs and mats. And, you know, at the time I was young, I took it for granted. I thought it was tacky. I wanted the equivalent of a PlayStation in the 80s. What's that TV game? Nintendo. In hindsight, I honestly wish I had paid closer attention to just the craft, the technical aspect of taking plastic and transforming it into something completely different. Of course, we call it upcycling now, but at that time for her, it was a means to an end and a way for her to creatively express herself. And it wasn't something that was necessarily taught by someone in Europe. It was passed down from generations. And that's what I mean about really, like, our stories they date back generations. We don't have to look very far to be inspired.
Not at all. And I think it speaks so beautifully to, you know, just the theme of the whole festival, but also talking about Africa is rising. If we've seen all the amazing speakers we've had today, the different pieces of the art their work that they showcased, it all goes back to, we have this rich history and heritage of storytelling. We've actually always lived with nature in peace, very sustainably, and we also need to grasp the moment where the world is looking, and the world's listening to us. I think then what I would like to ask in my last question, Tinyiko, is, so what we see is a fraction of the talent that is out there, and all of the work that has been presented today, all of the video recordings, the artwork that we've seen. What would you say to any young African who's out there, who's watching us, who's maybe passed by and looks at the beautiful work that they see around them, and they see you leading this beautiful destination place? What would you say about an African who dreams of building, a young African who wants to build something beautiful? They want to position their town, their village somewhere. How do you do that? How do you and your team do that?
That's a really big question, Ellen, and I don't know if I'm really the right person to answer it. But from my vantage point, I would say that in spite of the fact that this continent has historically been seen as the underdog, there's real power in that. Lean into that, actually, because the stories of the underdog have not been told. We also have a very unique perspective as Africans in that we straddle multiple different worlds. We straddle our own little microcosm, growing up in our communities, growing up in our countries, growing up in the continent, yet still we have a global perspective. Lean into that. Secondly, or third, as you've said, the world is watching. The world is watching. The world is waiting. There is the world wants to hear and see and feel what this continent can bring. And actually, if the story is to be told, it has to be told by us. So if you don't do it, who will? If you don't make the change, who will?
And I hope, and I love that. So you're saying step in.
Absolutely.
We're not too far away. You're not too small. You're not too remote.
Lean in, step in. As the T-shirts say, Africa, our time is now.
It is. Africa is rising. All right, Tinyiko, thank you for taking some time out of your day. Thank you for coming to share your experience and your thinking, and also welcoming just welcoming the Open Design Africa to this beautiful location, but not only the location, bringing all these different minds, these different countries, these different people and creatives together. Thank you very much for your time.
Ellen. Thank you for having me.
So thank you all for joining us. We're going to have another musical performance now, so you can sit back, you can relax, grab some coffee or tea, whatever it is. Let's enjoy a performance from Cape Town musicians Didi and Jules. We'll be back at 15:20, so 3:20, to introduce the speakers of the final and the fourth session of today, where some international guests will share how Africa has inspired their global success. See you now. Thank you.